Good morning, ma'am. Good morning.
Please be seated. Please be seated.
Dear participants, I request you to occupy the front rows, please. Please occupy the front rows.
Good morning, everyone. Those who are sitting at the back benches, please move forward. We will start only there. You have forwarded to the front benches.
Those who are in the second row, please come forward, please, so that we can start the program. Please occupy the front rows.
Staff members, please help them, guide them to come and occupy the benches in the front, please. They are new to this auditorium, they would have some hesitation. Students who are sitting at the back, come to the front. Research scholars, thank you for your cooperation.
Mother Teresa says, prayer is not asking, prayer is putting oneself in the hand of God at His disposition and listening to His voice in the depth of our hearts. Now I request Dr. O. Ann Blessy of the Department of English to share a word of prayer, which will be followed by the Tamil Thai Valthu. I request all the participants to please stand up for prayer.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us together on this special day. We grant your wisdom, Lord. Please be with us. Bless this conference. Bless the speaker, participants, presenters, and all those who have gathered here. We commit this conference into your mighty hands, Lord. Please be with us today. We ask this in the precious name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
நீராறும் கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராறும் வதனமென திகழ் பரத கண்டமிதில் தெக்கணமும் அதிசிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு பிறை நுதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிலமை திறம்பியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
Please, everyone, please be seated. Thank you, dear ma'am. Thank you, dear students. Carl Gustav Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who founded analytical psychology, says the psyche has two important conditions. One is the environmental influence, and the other is the given fact of the psyche as it is born. The psyche is by no means a tabula rasa. We are a definite mixture and a combination of genes, and they are from the very first moment of our life, and they give a definite character. D.F. Lovett, the author of The Moon Born or The Moby Dick on the Moon, says, I heard the stories of storytellers telling the stories of the people wanted to hear. Everyone finds the narrative that matches the narrative they already know and want. A warm good morning to one and all present here. I'm Rebecca Allen Ravi, Assistant Professor, Department of English, SF, St. John's College. It gives me an immense pleasure to commence the National Conference on Human Psyche and Literary Narratives, jointly organized by the Department of English, SF, St. John's College, Palamkotai, and English Access, a review of literature and language. The human psyche is the personality of an individual. It is made up of the id, which is the survival instinct humans have at birth, the ego, which is the facets of the psyche that are rooted in logic and reason and that allows humans to pursue what they want, and the superego, which is the moral compass of the individual. The human psyche refers to the conscious and the unconscious parts of the human mind or spirit. Contemporary ideas of the psyche have been influenced by the theories of Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung. Freud's theory says that the psyche has three aspects: id, ego, and superego, whereas Jung's theory includes aspects like personal unconscious and collective unconscious. The human psyche is intimately explored through literary narratives which act as a mirror to human cognition, emotions, and behavior. Literature, particularly psychological fiction, focuses on internal mental states using character-driven plots to delve into guilt, conscience, and existential angst. The classical examples are Fyodor Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, Sylvia Plath's The Bell Jar, Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway, and J.D. Salinger's The Catcher in the Rye. The modern examples could be Gillian Flynn's The Gone Girl, Alex Michaelides' The Silent Patient, and Lionel Shriver's We Need to Talk About Kevin. Sigmund Freud, who found psychoanalysis, says the conscious mind may be compared to a fountain playing in the sun and falling back into the great subterranean pool of subconscious from which it rises. I invite to the dais Dr. Arama Delight Sanson to welcome the gathering, which will be followed by the honoring of the guest.
Good morning, everyone present here. It gives me an immense pleasure to welcome you all to this gathering. I warmly welcome our principal, Dr. J. Barnabas, whose leadership, kindness, and warmth has always created a supportive environment to the staff members and also the students. The saying, kind words can be short and easy to speak, but their echoes are truly endless, holds really true for him. We are very happy to have you here amidst us, sir. I invite Mr. R. Venkateshwaran from the Department of English and also the coordinator of this conference to honor our principal. Let us honor our principal with a shawl. Okay, thank you everyone. My sincere welcome to the head of the Department of English, Shift 1, Dr. Beneson Tilagar Christudas, who has extended immense support and help towards this program. Sir has been a very big source of motivation right from day one and has also graciously accepted our invitation to inaugurate this program today. We are very happy to have you here with us, sir. I invite Dr. Jenica Lawrence Daniel to honor Dr. Beneson with a shawl. Okay, thank you, sir. At this juncture, I would like to mention the head of the Department of English, Shift 2, Mr. Sam Vasantakumar, who has not been able to attend this program today because of some personal circumstance, but I'm sure is watching us online. And he has been the pillar of the department and also the wheel that has kept this conference and the department going forward. And we all welcome you, sir. It gives me a great privilege to welcome our chief guest, Dr. D.M. Amala, the head of the Department of English, Sri Meenakshi Government Arts College for Women, Madurai. We are very happy to have you here amidst us, madam. And we look forward to all the words and the inspiring thoughts that you are going to share today with all of us. And we look forward to you to quench our thirst for knowledge. It's a pleasure to have you here amidst us, ma'am. I invite Dr. Asha Glory Angel from the Department of English and also a coordinator for the conference to honor ma'am with a shawl. Thank you, ma'am. I extend Thank you, ma'am. I extend my welcome to the coordinators of this program, Dr. Asha Glory Angel and Mr. Venkateshwaran, whose tireless efforts has made this program possible. I also welcome the staff members of our department whose teamwork and coordination towards this conference has been commendable. You all have made this event possible. I welcome. And I take the pleasure of welcoming the staff members of the Department of English, Shift 1, who has always provided us with their goodwill and their support whenever we needed it. It is a pleasure to have you all here amidst us. A special welcome to all the participants, scholars, the students, and everyone who has joined us here today, and also a special mention to all who are watching this program online. It is a pleasure to have you all here with us. Like Franz Kafka says, a book must be the axe for the frozen sea within us. Literature has the ability to awaken the deepest human emotions and thoughts. I hope today's conference encourages meaningful discussions and new insights into how literary narratives reflect the complexities of human mind. Once again, I warmly welcome all of you and wish you all a fruitful and a very knowledgeable conference.
Thank you, Dr. Aramadilite Sampson, for your warm welcome. Veda Nazarian, the author of The Dreams of the Compass Rose, says, all stories have a curious and even dangerous power. They are all the manifestations of truth, yours and mine. And that truth is all at once the most wonderful, a terrifying thing in the world, which makes it nearly impossible to handle. It is such a great responsibility. And it is the best not to tell the story at all unless you know you can't do it right. You must be very careful, or without knowing it, you can change the world. Now, I invite to the dais the principal in charge, Dr. J. Barnabas Jacob, to address the gathering.
First of all, I thank Almighty for His presence and blessings. Respected Chief Guest, Dr. Amala Madam, respected HOD of the regular stream, Dr. Beneson, respected Dr. Asha of Self-Esteem, and other faculty members. On behalf of our John's College and my personal behalf, I warmly welcome the students of the other colleges. I appreciate your enthusiasm to take part in this conference. As far as this topic is concerned, human psyche and literary narratives both are interdependent, inseparable. Literary does not reveal or tells the story, but it reflects emotions, thoughts, fear, pain, trials, and tribulations. When I was in BA degree class, about 30 years back, my teacher, English teacher, used to teach. At that time, I had no affection on English. It was very difficult for me. But two words, it touched my heart. What are they two? One is, when he was teaching, I think, Shakespeare novels, a drama. To be or not to be. The other word is Brutus. Complete that. Complete that. Brutus, you too. That sentence, it touched my heart. On that day onwards, I had great zeal on English, to learn English, to converse English. I had a good affection. I had a good affection with English, even though it neglects me. I loved that language. So, in this occasion, I thank the both HODs for organizing this wonderful meeting conference. I had a good discussion with our resource person. Madam told me that your college. Why your college? Our college has established a good name, fame, and reputation. As a result of that, Palankotte is known as the Oxford of South India. Above all, I want to emphasize that in our college, among the other departments, the English is the pioneer. English is a forerunner to lead this name. Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear sir, for sharing with us a few lines from Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. It truly touched us and how it inspired you to learn the English language and to enjoy it every day. Thank you for sharing your experience, sir. Alfred Adler, Austrian psychiatrist and founder of the individual psychology, says, to be a human being means to possess a feeling of inferiority which constantly presses towards its own conquest. The greater the feeling of inferiority that has been experienced, the more powerful is the urge for conquest and the more violent the emotional agitation. I invite to the dais Dr. Beneson Thilagar Christadas, Head of the Department of English Shift 1, St. John's College, to inaugurate the National Conference on Human Psyche and Literary Narratives and to enlighten us with the inaugural address. Sir, the stage is yours.
Good morning once again. Thank you for your presence here. And also, I would like to thank the persons who have joined there online. It gives me great pleasure to inaugurate this one-day conference on human psyche and literary narratives. Of course, this phrase, human psyche and literary narratives, are very familiar phrases for us. On the other hand, I was trying to know the meaning deeper. I was looking up a few dictionaries, books, and also browsing through the websites. Finally, I came to a conclusion. The simplest way of defining human is relating to or characteristic of mankind or humankind. People will come to quarrel with this. If we say simply mankind, it is humankind. Second thing is, psyche is the totality of the mind. We will be talking about this again and again. The totality of the mind, it encompasses all conscious and unconscious mental processes. It includes personality, emotion, cognition, and behavior. How is this human psyche related to literature? Ever since the creation of the world, we have been listening to the stories of the creation. We have been listening to the stories of great kings and queens. We have been listening to the stories of very many people around the world. Somebody would come and tell us, or someone has written about them. They have very simply narrated the incidents that have happened in course of time. When it comes to the part of narration, this is nothing but relating one thing to the other in one's own language. Narration can be in any form, maybe orally or maybe in written form. We have many genres in literature. Most of them are nothing but narrations. Narration is nothing but speaking about or talking about or writing about one's inner feelings. If that is the way we can understand this topic, the other side of this conference concentrates on the basic philosophical, psychological, social ideologies people have consciously or unconsciously applied in literature. When Keats wrote his odes, he might not have thought that after 200 years or so, literature lovers would go and sit and try to apply the theories, emerging theories to his poems. Theories come and go, but the originality of the literary pieces, they remain the same. When it comes to the part of the application of the literary theories, we take this and that and we try to apply them, or we try to cover them. We try to cover literary work with the theories which we like the most, and we try to say that this poem, this work of art is post-colonial literature, dystopian literature, or whatever it could be. One thing we forget, that is, this is nothing but the record of a writer's own mind. Nothing but a record of a writer's own mind. When I look at a person, when I happen to watch a person speaking or doing something, a kind of impression comes into my mind. What I understand, I write there, I record there. Later on, it becomes a work of art. That's how the short stories are being written. That's how epics have been written. If you go to barber shops, you can see magazines there. In those magazines, 1-minute short stories are printed for the sake of the reading facilities. When we read them, in a minute's time, or maybe less than a minute, that is 60 seconds, the full story could be read, and that full story could be understood from different perceptions. If you and I are literature people, from some literary theoretical perception, we can understand that work of art. We say that this man has tried to bring out the psychoanalytical aspects of this character. One story, we may say that this story is based on some historical aspect, whatever it could be. Well, that is one side. Let me say that again. Every work of art is nothing but a record of the writer's understanding of life, understanding of a person, understanding of an incident. In that case, how do the writers bring out the literary narratives in their writings? One of my scholars, PhD scholars, she's going to submit her thesis soon. She has done on memory studies. When we read the short stories of those writers, or the writer that she has taken for study, memory is there. It is there, memory, the record of the writer's memory is there. It's simply a record of events. But when it comes into the hands of a research scholar like her, it takes a different form. Another scholar is doing her research on dystopian literature. Dystopian literature, we know a little about the dystopian literature. We talk about the dystopian literature on and off, and we work on it. But when it comes to the part of narration, it is the language that expresses. So 3 things I have put forward now. One is our own expression of experiences. Number 2, maybe in addition to the experiences, we have our own experiences, our own thoughts, our own expectations. A lot of things come into a book, come in the form of a book, or come in the form of our own record of events. Number 2, it is nothing but the expression or expectations of someone also. Number 3, the language, the tool plays a vital role. We all have tools in our hands. We try to measure We say that this work is that based on this one, this one, this one, this one. Even in the even now, right now, in the University of Oxford, it is written that there is a board. People say that there is a board that Shakespeare is our contemporary. Shakespeare, our principal in charge, was quoting from Shakespeare. Shakespeare his writings are applicable for all ages. He is still alive in his writings. His human understanding of this world has been written there, and we are reading in the form of words. That is what narrations are. When Keats says, numbness descends, my heart aches, it is his understanding. When Robert Frost says, miles, he speaks about miles, he speaks about experiences, not to yield. That may be his writings, but he has recorded his own feelings there. So this is what we are going to know about, and also as scholars here, this is what you are going to present, your findings in the works that you have come across in your life. So human psyche is inseparable from the writers. The writers can never run away from their understanding of this world around them. The tool, the language that they have used is just a tool, but the mode of their expression, maybe in the form of a poem, or maybe in the form of a drama, or maybe in the form of a short story or novel, is the narrative technique that they have used. We will know more about this from Dr. Amala. I know Dr. Amala for the past 40 years or so. I was talking to her in the room, in the HOD's room, and I was telling her, Akka, I'm going to talk on this and that. But she was telling me, hey, leave it. I will take care of. I will take care of. I can very boldly say that she is an ocean of knowledge. She is a treasure of literary understandings. Her perception would surely enlighten you, dear participants. I leave the stage with these words, and I'm so happy to inaugurate this one-day program. We must congratulate Dr. Jenica Lawrence. Now, the next is his role here. Listen to him. Be with us. If outsiders, colleges, students, or scholars, or staff members who have come from outside, please seek our help for anything and everything. Students from this campus, kindly help them. Direct them whenever they, or whatever they need. Thank you so much. Have a good time. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you, dear sir, for inaugurating our conference, and thank you for sharing with us the relationship between the human psyche and narration, and how everything we read today and enjoy, it could be from Chaucer's time, from Shakespeare time, till now, they are all understandings of a human mind, and they enlighten young minds like us every day. Thank you so much, sir. Okay. Jason Ibel, American singer-songwriter and musician, says, any narrative, whether it's fiction or not, you have to approach it as though it really happened to you. I think that's the only way to get inside the characters and make the narrative work. It's a storytelling tradition, and I think to come off genuine, then you have to really approach it that way. Now, I invite to the dais Dr. Jenica Lawrence Daniel, Assistant Professor, Department of English, to brief the gathering about the journal English Access, a review of literature and language, ISSN 3107-62X. Sir, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Ruby. A warm welcome to all of you seated here. I'm an alumnus of St. John's College, and right now I work here. Without this college, without the platform that this college provided me during my college days and what it has provided me right now, English access would not have been possible. But before I go into English access, I would like to talk about the Department of English. The Department of English of St. John's College has 3 journals. So a college department that runs 3 journals is something to be noticed and talked about. It is a feat in itself. The first one that I would like to talk about is TJLS, the Journal for English Language and Literary Studies. This journal is run by Dr. Beneson Christadas. He is the chief editor of this journal. And the journal has both online ISSN and print ISSN. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the journal has been in existence and has been producing scholarly articles for 1.5 decades. Yes, for 15 years. Yes. And the next one is ILN, Indian Literary Narratives. And it is very much in tune with the theme of the conference for today. And that journal is being run by Dr. Shofet, Assistant Professor of English, St. John's College. And ILN has, it is an online journal. And the third one is English Access. I'm the chief editor of English Access. It has both online and print ISSN. And we are very happy this time to have received so many interests for this conference and for this journal. And we read all the abstracts that came in like till 2 days back. And we are happy to note that the themes, the various themes in which the abstracts have come in have far exceeded the thrust areas that we have given. So some of the abstracts made us feel that, made us understand how inadequate we are in our understanding of human psyche and literary narratives. Such is the vast array of knowledge and exploration that you scholars have put in. So I'm extremely thankful to God, and I'm thankful to the college and to the department and to all of you who have sent in your articles for this great opportunity. And together we will sail in this erudite journey, thereby helping posterity to glean lots of insights from this amazing thing. And thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing wonderful words about the journal. Hilary Mantel, who has won the Booker Prize twice, says that, I'm so sorry, concentrate your narrative energy on the point of change. This is especially important for historical fiction. When your character is new to a place or things alter around them, that's the point to step back. Okay. Now, I invite to the stage Professor S. Jyoti Cynthia ma'am to introduce our beloved chief guest, Dr. D.M. Amala.
Respected dignitaries on the dais, distinguished faculty members, research scholars, and dear students, a very good morning to one and all present here. Today, it's my privilege to introduce the guest of honor for the day, who is the epitome of literary excellence. As Aristotle says, excellence is never an accident. It is always the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. An event like this is incomplete without the presence of an academic expert. To enlighten us today, we have Dr. D.M. Amala with us, who has dedicated her life to the pursuit of knowledge and excellence. Thank you, ma'am, for coming us all along from Madurai. And we are privileged to have you with us today in this August gathering. Our chief guest, Dr. D.M. Amala, is a distinguished academician with an illustrious career spanning over 2 decades. Yes, she has been in the field of English literature for 21 years. She is an associate professor and the head of the Department of English at Sri Meenakshi Government Arts College for Women, Madurai. She has graduated from Sri Meenakshi Government Arts College for Women, did her Master of Arts and Master of Philosophy in Tyagaraja College, and got her Doctor of Philosophy in 2009 from Madurai Kamaraj University. She is an expert in new literatures, Canadian literature, and literary theories. As a recognized research guide, she has shaped the minds of countless MPhil and PhD scholars. Her leadership in academic field is further proven by her role as the coordinator of Youth Welfare and NSS Program Officer. She has participated and presented 15 papers in various conferences. She has many international publications and innumerable state-level publications. She has been the chairperson for quite many international, national, and state-level conferences and delivered invited talks in various conferences on post-colonial theories. She has been a resource person at prestigious institutions like Lady Talk College and Mother Teresa University. Her expertise is recognized across the university system as she serves on the board of studies for 6 prominent colleges and has acted as a subject expert for the Jammu and Kashmir Public Service Commission and Teachers Recruitment Board in Tamil Nadu. Her vast knowledge and numerous achievements make her the perfect person to grace this occasion. Once again, thank you, ma'am, for joining us today. We are all really honored to have you with us. Thank you all. Have a great time.
Thank you, Professor Jyoti Cynthia, for introducing the chief guest. Just by listening to her achievements, I feel really awed to listen to her words too. Jacques Lacan, who argued that the unconscious is structured like language, says his sufferings of neurosis and psychosis are for us a schooling in the passions of the soul, just as the beam of the psychoanalytic scales, when we calculate the tilt of its threat to entire communities, provides us with an indication of the deadening of the passions in society. Without further ado, we have entered the moment we've all been waiting for. I invite to the stage the chief guest of the day, Dr. D.M. Amala, head of the Department of English, Sri Meenakshi Government Arts College for Women, Madurai, for the keynote address. Ma'am, we await your wonderful words on literature.
Wish you all a pleasant academic morning. I am indeed delighted to be a part of this program, though I have been called as a resource person. But usually, I'm always a part of the student community, and I always request people to introduce me as a student of literature because I still continue to learn, and learning is my passion. At the outset, I would like to thank the principal of this college, the head of the Department of Regular Stream, Dr. Beneson, and the head of the Department of SF Stream, for having given me this opportunity to address the gathering of student community here. I hope so. There are a few research scholars as well, and the rest of them must be postgraduate students. And I'm indeed very happy to be here with you this morning and share whatever I have been gleaning from my experience. And this particular opportunity is something very significant for me because this is the alma mater of my father. He did his UG degree in 1950, I hope so, and that was how I was reminded of the date by Dr. Beneson. And even I couldn't recall the exact date, but it was your head of the department who gave me the exact time because he also knew my father. And those were glorious days, he would say. And the principal, in his inaugural address, when he shared the quotable quote from Hamlet, to be or not to be, probably that is the right note that he has struck for this conference, because it is the outpouring of a mind that is in a conflict, and that was by Hamlet. He was caught in an intense conflict, and this particular phrase, to be or not to be, is still being debated across continents and cultures. Nobody is able to bring about a finality to it, and it goes on and on inconclusively. And this is a classic example for indeterminacy of language, which has been proposed by Derrida. And the conference that harps upon the title Human Psyche and Literary Narratives. It's quite significant and interesting because usually when we talk about narratives, we immediately imagine it is only a novel or a short story or probably a drama or a poem. But I would always say, and I would always draw the attention of the student community to the advertisements that you come across every day. For example, even if you just read a line, for sale, I hope you come across this particular billboards in all the shops in and around the city, for sale. It is a narrative. Have you ever thought about it? It is a narrative because it has an owner, probably a person who had written the line, probably with one particular intention. So it was intentionally written by a person, a writerly perspective we get, for sale, communicating a purpose. What is it? The hidden part of it is that there is something put up for sale. There is an object that is put up for sale, and this sale does not come handy or easy or probably free. It comes with a cost, or probably there is some kind of a string attached to it. So these are the things which you understand when you read just these two words, for sale. And you have other advertisements like onnu vaangana onnu free, 2 for 2, 3 for 2, something like that, wherein you involve numericals and numbers. It is a number game, and it is a narrative as such. Even if you just say 1 for 1, you have just a single word for, and on the two sides you have only numericals, but still it is a narrative. And it has an author, it has an intention, and it is targeted towards an audience. Okay, and the purpose is saleability, marketability, product, so on and so forth. And this particular line can be viewed in multifarious dimensions, from economical point of view, from a commercial point of view, from a linguistic point of view. Ultimate things are there. Okay, so you need not just complicate yourself by saying that a narrative is something very, very complicated. It's not so. It is as simple as what you do every day and what you communicate every day. The moment you wake up, you start with your narration. The moment your eyes are open and you start conversing with the people by the side of you, or with your friend or whoever is near you, narrative begins. So what you have to understand is that any narration, for that matter, you leave alone the length and breadth of a narration or whatever it may be, just try to understand that a narrative has an owner, whom we call as the author, and further we define the author and differentiate the author as a poet, a short story writer, a novelist, a dramatist, so on and so forth. And There is a purpose behind it. And which we call, when we just bring it down to the literary output, we call it the aesthetic perception or artistic vision. In economical terms, it is just the purpose behind it. And when we just talk about this narration in terms of economy, it is about production, it is about sale, it is about profit, it is about loss, so on and so forth. But when you just pull it out and you fit it into a literary narrative context, it is always the aesthetic sense, the artistic vision, the message that the author gives, or the message that the reader tries to perceive, so on and so forth. So narratives are just something what you call as pervasive in the world around you. And the world is filled with narratives, which we call it as stories as well. And most of the time, when we go for history classes particularly, we feel it is all a boring one. It is not so, because it is the story of a nation. When you just try to understand it that way, it is a story of a nation, a story of a country, a story of a state, a story of a village, or so on and so forth, a story of a king or a queen or a minister or a counselor, something like that. You try to understand history better. It is a perspective of a person, the understanding, as your professor told, of the happenings, of the incidents, of the episodes that happened around him. Human psyche, this is something invisible, it is intangible, not at all palpable, and we are yet to know what actually it is. It exists, but we can't see. You can't feel, you can't touch, but it takes control of the human world. Every human being, for that matter, is under the control of the psyche, which probably Freud calls it as unconscious, something like that. But why is it that we literarians are very much interested in bringing these two areas into focus? It is because it is the human psyche that controls the narrative, or the human psyche that shapes the narrative, or the human psyche that tries to pull into perspective what is happening around us, and it communicates itself in a language. So that is the exact relationship between the psyche and literary narrative, or probably language itself. And we had this morning two important things that were deliberated, or probably it caused a kind of a trigger, I would say, when the principal talked about to be or not to be. So that is the first point that he hit the right nail for this, this conference in perspective. And that is the conflict of the, mind of Hamlet, right? And it was put forth only in the language that still baffles scholars even today. And number two, when your professor talked about what role the human psyche plays in the lives of human beings, that is number two. And number three, when the introductory part was given, language has a kind of a similarity or a wiring that is something similar to the unconscious. That was the perception by Lacan. So that is why you see we trace the similarity, the relationship, or this high complexity between human psyche and language. And without language, we do not have any literary narrative. So these are the things which you have to keep in mind. So why I would just go into all these basics is that so many times we just try to figure out certain things, and most of the time it is something frustrating for us. It need not be so. So when you start to understand a narrative in its simplest form, you can take it to the complexities of your literary world. You start with a narration of everyday life, whatever you read across when you come to college, when you go home, or when you chat with your friends, something like that, whatever comes across. So many posters, and particularly when an important social event is at hand, we have a lot of posters, for which you have an author. Definite author is behind it. And there is a narrative. And how does the narrative control so there is the psyche that is giving the narrative, and this narrative also has a kind of a controlling effect upon the reading public. So the writerly narrative and the readerly narrative are two different areas which tries to serve one purpose of the author. So these are the simple things which you have to understand between the relationship of what a human psyche is and the role that it plays in the minds of the readers and literary narratives. So with these simple things, let us go into navigating new narrative spaces. That is a specific topic which I just wanted to share for the benefit of the research scholars. So just keep this one foundation in mind, Lacan's foundation. Language and the human mind, they have a kind of a similar networking pattern or a similar wiring pattern. And people say that the Gen Z, they have a different wiring pattern of the brain. So that is why they are able to comprehend things very fast, and at the same time, they are able to forget it in a moment. So that is the complexity of the human mind these days. Okay. Now coming into this, navigating new narrative spaces, you have been introduced to the usual genres, poems, and under the poems you have all the sub-genres like lyrics, odes, sonnets, epics, ballads, etc. Prose, you have biographies, autobiographies, so on and so forth. Drama, you have 5 acts and 1 act plays. And then you have your fiction, where you have novels, novellas, short stories. And today there is an emergent new one called the non-fiction, where you have travelogues and memoirs and autofiction. So many new genres are emerging. Now, how do you navigate them? What is navigating? Now, the term navigating by itself means trying to find a clear path. Trying to find a clear path. Thereby, you can just traverse, or you can just cut across, or you can just travel through it and find what are all the things that are available there. So it is a kind of a journey with a purpose. And the purpose is some quest for a goal. The quest for a goal, something like Jason's fleece, I would like to say. So with this basic introduction about how we are going to navigate the new narrative spaces, that is what I am going to just deliver it to you in a very lucid style, because I don't want to baffle you with all the high-flown language and all those things. That is all unnecessary for the student community. I never bothered to use all these hi-fi words. Now that is not what you call as the need for the hour, because the purpose of this conference is to make you people, the student community, understand what exactly is going in the literary world, in this academic arena. And when you go into when you have a very clear understanding of what is going on, then you will be able to capture the mood and you can venture into all these new areas. So let us now start with what happens when a narration begins. And before we go for the PPT, I would just like to give you certain evolutionary trends of how this writing began, or what was the need for writing. Now, this is again a highly complex area, something which is still being debated, or what triggered humankind to bring out artistic works. Probably, as far as my knowledge goes, it all started with the cave painting. Now, who gave this kind of an interest, or what triggered the interest in those people, the cave painters, to paint the perception of the world they had in caves with what you call as very basic things? Probably a stone, or a colored piece of brick, or charcoal, or paints extracted from leaves and barks, so on and so forth. And then later on it evolved into inscriptions on stone using different tools. So this is how you see artistic expressions started. So as far as my knowledge goes, I think before that, before cave paintings, I don't have a very clear history of what exactly these artistic expressions were. So let us try to understand from that particular point, and this will give a very clear evolutionary perception of how artistic works were produced by humankind. So there was a kind of an impulse in every human being, in every individual, to bring out what he or she understood about the world, or probably the emotional turmoil or the conflict within himself or herself, to articulate it. So probably even from that word articulation, we have the word art. So what is it those people try to articulate through cave paintings? What is it people try to convey through stone engravings? So probably it is their perception of the world that they lived, their idea of the world view, their understanding of human emotions, their understanding of human character, their understanding of human behavior. Ultimately, it boils down to anthrocentric phenomena. Probably ecologists may have a kind of a conflicting trend these days, but it was all human-centric. And that is why we put into all these things into debate and deliberations in these conferences. So with this basic knowledge, let us first trace what happened with the cave paintings. Cave paintings evolved into different perceptions with like expressionism or impressionism, symbolism, cubism, surrealism. These were all the evolutionary trends in painting, and these paintings paved a very clear understanding of what writers had to take up in their works of art. So probably painters and writers, they have a very close relationship with the understanding of the world and in the production of art. So therefore, let us now take into perspective the first part, what you call as naturalism. I hope so we can start with the PPT. And should I come down? Probably that would be more convenient for me. Shall I come down? Am I audible? Fine, thank you. So, where should I be then? Okay. I hope I am audible to you now. Is this okay? Fine. Now, the first slide talks about the psychological imprints. Imprinting. What is imprinting? Print form, you all know. Imprint, a kind of what you call as a mark that you leave. That is imprint. So psychological imprints, it is what we are going to start with. The first part is literary naturalism. Literary naturalism. So now I would just talk about the worldviews, and then later on we go into postmodern worldview, from which we take up the new emerging genres. These are the new narrative spaces which we are going to navigate. So that therefore I thought of giving you a kind of a historical perspective to what was happening in the literary arena. So here you see literary naturalism. Now this naturalism was a concept whereby people understood that man being born into this world, he was almost an innocent person who was born into a kind of a shackle or a manacle, or he was a prisoner of circumstance. So the actions ensued from human beings always had some kind of an external factor controlling him. or her. Okay, so it was not just what you call as something impulsive or something on your own. It was all governed by external factors, the environment around a person that made a person, or that is how a person became, from being to becoming. So in the process of becoming, it was only the environment or the social condition around him that shaped a man, that triggered a particular person to do certain things. So for which he may not be completely responsible. And I would like to give you an example from Victor Hugo, Les Miserables. It was a French novel, and I hope so you must have come across it. Les Miserables, we usually pronounce it as Les Miserables. It is not so. It is Le Miserable, that is the miserable. It talks about the miserable condition of a prisoner. A convict who escapes, and this has been now adapted into numerous plays and so on and so forth. So what happens is this convict escapes, and the reason by which he was convicted is because of his poverty. He steals something and he is convicted. And when he tries to escape from the prison, once again he tries to enter into a bishop's house. And even then, because of his conditioning, he steals the bishop's candlesticks. I hope you remember the story now. Yes, bishop's candlesticks. So he steals the bishop's candlesticks and he runs away. But in the meantime, the gendarmes, they intercept him. And but you see, the bishop, in a very graceful manner, he condones the whole act and he forgives him. So this is the basic thing of a story. So once you start analyzing this particular aspect of Les Miserables, the character, that is the convict, becomes a convict because of the social conditions around him, because of his poverty. And who created this poverty? When all the natural resources are in the world to be shared by all human beings, there is some kind of a man-made disturbance, some mismanagement that makes wealth to be accumulated in one place and giving rise to poverty. This is from an economical perspective, and this is how you see all the Marxists, they argue, and Marxist literary theories like Gramsci and Althusser, they talk about all these things, starting from Marx onwards, right? So this kind of a mismatch or imbalance that was created by man, or probably a social condition that shaped this particular person to be a convict. So this is one perspective, and therefore people argued that human beings were innocent, or probably they did not have the intention to steal unless there was a social pressure to steal. So it is all social demand and social conditioning for which the person cannot take accountability, or the person need not take accountability, and that is literary naturalness. That this is one perspective. And then you have the next thing, French symbolism, that talked about madness. Why madness? Again, social conditioning. It is not so, all these perceptions you see, you can find that the individual is not responsible for any of his actions. It is because of the social pressure, the things that are around him or her, and the shaping forces that gives a human psyche this kind of a pressure to do certain things. So this was what has been articulated by the French symbolists, for which they used a lot of symbols to portray human suffering, human life, crisis, and whatnot. Now, today we talk about trauma. Today we talk about stress. Today we talk about depression, so on and so forth. But these words are now in vogue, but they had their own different words those days. That was only crisis sometimes. that was disease, that was something insane, something like that. But today we talk about all these things in different nomenclature, that is all. But otherwise, all these human emotions remain the same, starting from the time immemorial. Right, so it is a method of an unconscious. So whatever you call madness, whatever you call uncanny, was brought about by the surrealistic painting. Surrealistic painting, it captures only a very vague or a blurred vision of human life. So if you just go into all these paintings, you can understand all the literary works of art very easily. So that is why even in my classroom, I would always introduce people to these different kinds of paintings. And today we come to a point where you have minimalist paintings. Just by a single stroke, you try to convey the meaning. It is all a perception of the human understanding of the world. Next slide, please. Now, after this French theorist, it was again, you see, this all happened only in the latter part of the 19th century, Freudian theory, and the spread of Freud's theories and writers of both romantic and realistic persuasions were encouraged to probe deeper into the dramatization, sorry, there is a small spelling error, of human condition, and therefore you have psychological footprints, and we start reading the mindscape of the person. So starting from the word landscape, you have gardenscape, you have this scape, that scape, homescape, so many scapes, and this mindscape is a very important thing which we come across in all the literary works of art today. So how do you read the mind? Margaret Atwood's Journey to the Interior. That is a wonderful poem written by Atwood where she talks about the journey into the mind, and it is a labyrinth. It is all something similar to the geographical map of the world, something like that. And expressions of emotions and experience has been an evolving phenomena in literary narratives and aesthetics. So what is this all about? It is about your experience, about the world around you, and it is about human emotions. And for that, I have been telling you again and again, to be or not to be, the conflict in the human mind, that is the emotions and experience. You too, Brutus. So it is an action for which there is a response. So these are the things which artists have been trying to unravel from time immemorial, and various genres have given them a helping hand to do all these things. So you just try to understand a kind of these evolving historical literary perspectives, so that when you come into this new narratives which are highly complex, seemingly simple, but at the same time baffling for the human mind. How is it that an author can create so many things, for which you need to understand the world view behind it? Next. Now, these are the few psychological theorists which you have here. Herbert Reed, Reason and Romanticism. Kenneth Burke, Antony in behalf of the play. Edmund Wilson, Orientation towards Literary Biography. F.L. Lucas, Literature and Psychology. Now, these things I brought for the sake of the research scholars over here, those who are going into psychology. I am leaving the PPT with you, and you can take it whenever you want, probably with the organizers. So this is for the sake of the scholars. Next slide, please. Yes. So psychology in literature, it all started with Conrad Aiken's Skepticism's Notes on Contemporary Poetry in 1919. So now I just wanted to draw your attention to this word, skepticism. Now, what is this skepticism? It is a term which came into force even when Atkin gave you this kind of a skepticism. This gained a lot of impetus, or it gained a lot of strength when Jamesons started calling all these meta-narratives as incredulous. Incredibility to all the meta-narratives during the postmodern condition. So we will just come into that postmodern condition in a few minutes. Before that, you just note this word skepticism. So once people were positive about the human condition, the society around them, they had a highly optimistic idea about what was happening and what would happen to them, and it was on a kind of a hope fixed in human life. But when this worldview shifted, there came all the new emerging genres, starting from your dystopian novels. Next, please. Yes. And now you have all these exploring, emerging new genres. fiction, non-fiction, and why new. But before that, let me give you what this postmodern condition is. And this postmodern condition is what has shaped the new writers. So once you understand the postmodern view, you will be able to very clearly navigate these new genres. What is this postmodern view? As I told you, it all happened after the World War. And even now, war has started in the Middle East, all of us know that, and the dangers surrounding it. But when the two world wars devastated human life on this planet, it all happened in the Western world, and therefore we do not have a very clear-cut perception about it, perspective about it. But what happened was this war, it was highly catastrophic, and that gave rise to one perception. And what was that? It was this incredulity towards all these meta-narratives. What is this meta-narrative? All the meta things, whatever we considered as center, be it God, be it religion, be it institution, be it culture, be it your government, or any mechanism that tries to control you, shape you, and to bring you into a kind of a form, to make you conform into a particular regulatory system, that is a center, or that is a meta-narrative. So science, that was also a meta-narrative, because when scientific advancement and exponential technological growth started to give a kind of an optimistic view to human beings that life is going to be very comfortable in the planet, that was the time science showed its bitter face. It gave a kind of a darker perspective when the bomb was dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, culminating in a large-scale mass destruction of human life and property and bloodshed. It was only after that people started to have what you call as a skeptical view towards science, towards technology, towards all those things which we looked upon as a kind of a panacea. So science was once looked upon as a panacea, a kind of what you call as a medicine for all the diseases, for all the maladies. But the ugly part of it is that science also had a destructive part. So that when that reality bloomed, when that reality came into sharp focus, it was then this kind of what you call as an incredulity or a skeptical attitude towards all the meta-narratives came into existence. And that is what you talk about in the postmodern condition, which was first given by Frederick Ameson. And from that time onwards, people have a highly what you call as a skeptical view of all the things. And even today, when I just watch the memes, all these memes you see, they just give a kind of a very bizarre picture, a hopeless condition in front of you. They challenge all the concepts of religion. They challenge all the concepts of optimism. They challenge all the concepts of hope, so on and so forth, positive things. So that is why probably there is also a counter narrative to motivate people to stay positive, to think positive, to always give a kind of a positive vibration. Why is it? Because it is a counter culture or a counter narrative that has somehow to sustain human life on earth. Otherwise, it will lead people to mass suicide. Now, that is a tendency that this condition, the world condition now pushes people to. Those days there were no suicidal tendencies, probably here and there. But today it is now gripping so many young minds, and there is a lot of research going on in the area of psychology today, clinical psychology as well as in other psychiatric departments as well, in the field of medicine, to grapple with this main thing. And that is why the government also enforces institutions to organize a lot of mental health programs, wellness programs. Why? Now, probably when my father had his education here, he might not even have heard about all these wellness programs. But why is it that these wellness programs are today incorporated into a normal educative process? It is because of the danger. It is because of the pervasive, what you call as a pessimistic ideology that has captured the younger generation. And that is why, in order to stay well, mental health programs and wellness programs and fitness programs and this and that and so many things are given as a kind of a counterculture to mitigate this escalating tension in the human mind. Every day we live in stress, and every day we try to grapple with certain things for which we are unable to find solutions and answers, or probably we have been given a false hope by all these meta-narratives, and when we fail to get a solution, we have this kind of incredulous situations. Now, this has given rise to all these new genres. Now, when you look into these new genres, number one, technically it is innovative. I'm happy about it. It is innovative. Artists, they try to bring more and more new things into their writing, but thematically, it does not carry a very, very strong force of motivation to the younger minds. So that is where I have to give a kind of a clarion call to you people, to the youngsters, to be wary of all these things. Beware of the dangers behind all these, perceptions. And but there is also a kind of a balance struck by motivational speakers and institutions and forums, which tries to instill hope in the younger generation. So this is one reason why we have this kind of a new narrative, and this new narrative was born from the ashes of this postmodern condition. So that is where you have to be very careful in navigating it. Unless you have a kind of this postmodern view, it is philosophy. It is not connected to literature at all. It is philosophy. But once you have a clear philosophical grip of what this postmodern view is, you can very easily navigate the thematic perception of new narratives. But you have to go into deeper aspects for technology. That is innovation, the innovative part of language. And these are the niche genres, reflect modern life and society, reflection of growth in society, and the modern readers, they are different from readers 100 years ago. Now we will go into all these details. So what is this niche genres? They are new genres, very complex in their, that is what I told you, seemingly simple, but highly complex in content. So these are the new things which you have to navigate when you take up pieces for research. And what is this modern life and society? Have you ever thought about the view of this modern life and society, or the social condition of modern life and society? It is, simple sentence, technologically driven. We are living in a digital era. We are living in an age of information. And we are living in an age of threat. So on the one hand, science has given you a lot of digital comfort. So everything you buy when you are in the comfortable couch at your home, you have this opportunity, is it not? You need not even venture out of your door. Within the perimeters of your house, you can just be seated, do as many transactions as possible, do as many business deals as possible. You need not even venture out. It is very comfortable. Couch potatoes, couch businessmen, everything is done within the four walls of the society. This is modern life governed by digital era. So probably in our generation, we were all digital migrants, but you people, you are digital natives. You are born with a mobile in your hand. We did not have mobiles when we were born. Right. Now, but before going into this new condition, let me also give you another view of what this digi-culture or digitally controlled life is going to do to human life. Slowly, you can see the loss of sensory perceptions. It is very slow and it is very imperceptible also. You may not be aware of it now. Now, those days, probably now I am compelled to use these PPTs because people have lost the capacity to listen. Auditory sensation poiruchu inniki. You are not able to listen with your eyes closed. No, you can't. Now that is again, we are prisoner of circumstances. We are prisoner of this age. You cannot keep your eyes open and just listen to some sound. Listening has become very poor to us. We cannot even hear the sound of a siren or any alarm system for that matter. No, we have lost that. Loss of sensory perception. Particularly, except your visual sense, all the rest of the senses are slowly pushed into oblivion. We are not using it anymore. How many of us can really feel the chill weather, the morning breeze? Try to appreciate it even for a few seconds. No. And how many of you can feel the change in weather conditions, the change in heat? No. We do not feel it at all. We don't even have that perception within us. It is lost. Sense of touch, it is lost because we don't go for any outdoor activities. Sense of touch is lost. Everything is brought to your doorstep. You don't even touch the fabric of what you are buying, is it not? Only through your visual appeal, you get your clothes, your accessories, everything. You don't even touch and see. The tactile sense is lost. அப்புறம் வீட்டுக்கு வந்ததுக்கு அப்புறம் திருப்பி ரிட்டர்ன் போடு. Why? We are living in this virtual space. I'm coming to that again. So, this is how you see we are slowly losing our sensory perception. This is again going to self-destruction. So I come here, probably whenever I address the student community, I always give them a kind of a veiled warning to what the world is heading towards to. So you people be very wary of all these things and try to at least come out of certain, what you call as controlling systems which is around you. But first of all, you should be aware of it. So this is a kind of, probably I may even call it as an awareness campaign for that matter. So this is the postmodern condition. Right? So all your sensory perceptions are slowly brought into nothing. And except your visual sense, nothing is going to hold you. And now coming to this visual sense, all of us live only in the virtual world. And you have another wonderful writer, Jean Baudrillard, Simulacra and Simulacrum. Okay? We live only in the world of simulations. We exist only in virtual space. So what about the actual space? Real and fake. No, that is not in the dictionary of our everyday life. Virtual and actual. So how many of us are living in this actual world, actual everyday life? No. Almost probably, if I can just take a count of it, 10% alone is in the actual life and the rest in the virtual space. We live in the virtual space. Your mobile governs you. Your TV governs you. All the gadgets that govern you. So we live in this virtual space and therefore we assume that is the reality. That is the actual space. It is not so. So these are the dangers and therefore this virtual space is highly limiting. It limits human possibilities. Those days people did wonderful handcrafted articles. Today we do not have that kind of a sense and our creative perception is also lost. Because all the other senses are put into nothingness today. So these are the factors which you have to be very careful about when you go for your research. So this is the danger of this virtual and actual space. So this is again the postmodern condition. We live in the world of simulations. So therefore, even the literary output today, it is all only controlled by the virtual space. It is all controlled only by simulations. It is controlled only by whatever is given through your visual gadgets. But how to get the best out of it? That is what we are going to engage ourselves with in the rest of the conference. Now, modern readers, I told you, different from the readers 100 years ago. Now, 100 years ago or 50 years ago or even 25 years ago, the reading capacity was entirely different. Now, when you take, for a kind of a comparison, if you just take people like us, we could read novels at a stretch of time. We had that kind of a controlled concentration. We could do that. But today, it is not possible for the younger generation. You cannot even engage the student community for more than 1 minute. To that level, you see, this virtual world has made human beings a prisoner of social conditioning. So probably again and again we go back to naturalness, whereby human beings are not innately what they are, but they are being made. as what they should be, what they should buy, and how they should style themselves, and how they should fashion themselves, and how they should think themselves. So there is no well-defined thought for each individual. It is all governed by the media today. So we are prisoners of media, highly imprisoned by all these things. They are forged manacles, invisible and intangible. Right? So in this condition, what happens is, now a writer like James Joyce cannot give you a writing that comes around 1,000 pages or so. We cannot read a novel like Ulysses that runs up to 1,000 pages because of this condition. It is all the condition. So that is why I'm telling you again and again that this kind of what you call as a social conditioning has made human beings, and we are part of that community, even though we are literarians, even though we are readers, we are researchers, whatnot, we are again prisoners of this conditioning, and therefore we go into these new narratives. And now, before going into the detailed varieties of these new genres, let me also give you another perspective. Next slide, please. Yes, before going into this, now this is just a few things which I have got it from the Google, and you can also search it, and there are other new narratives, okay? But I have given a few samples here, and I hope so you have a lot of what you call as demonstration of all these samples over here. When I was led down by the by this corridor or something, I could view all these things, and they are examples of whatever I have given here. But how do we navigate them? That is the main part of it. The characteristic features, the key features, the thematic content, and all those things about the writers, about the production, about the publication, all these things you can search in the Google and you can get it. But how to navigate them? Now that is very important, for which you have only language with you. And for that, you should use your critical as well as your creative abilities. Now even that is now conditioned by social media. So please try to get out of this conditioning. When you try to come out of this conditioning, you can have a very clear perspective of what is being given in all these, short narratives. They are very simple pieces, very short pieces. So what always strikes me is one advertisement which we got when TV was introduced. Probably people of my age, my contemporaries might remember when I think it is Onida TV. Neighbors envy and owners pride. That was the tag that was given for selling Onida TV. I hope so. Most of you don't even know about it, is it not? You people might not even come across that. So, neighbors envy and owners pride. Pakkat veetla irukku, mel veetla irukku, keel veetla irukku, unga veetla illaya. What is it? It is a kind of a conditioning and a kind of obsessive compulsion that is being driven by the media into the human psyche to make you buyers. To make you buyers. Okay, so how many of you have really critically thought about it? Pakkat veetla irukku, inda veetla irukku, anda veetla irukku, unga veetla illaya. So have you ever thought about it? Have you ever applied your creative thinking towards it? We have lost it. So social media is giving you a kind of a psychological pressure. It is giving you a kind of a trigger position wherein it compels you to buy whatever is unnecessary for you. Now, when you just take out your account of whatever you have bought through online in the past 1 month or so, just make a kind of a catalog and find out how much has utilitarian value. Nariya vaanguronla, Amazon, Flipkart. How much do you really utilize it in your everyday life? Have you ever thought about it? Just make a kind of a catalog and find out. இது இவ்வளோ யூஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கேன், இது இவ்வளோ யூஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கேன், இதை இவ்வளோ யூஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். No. This is all one-time use just for the sake of projecting ourselves in the presentable public, and then it is discarded off. Ultimately, your economy gets drained, your purse is emptied, and you end up penniless. This is again social conditioning. Right? This is again social conditioning. And now let us have this, what you call as new genres. These are all new genres which are emerging now, new trends in literary areas, just for the perspective of research scholars and probably PG students who take up your projects. Number one, historical substream. Even when you say substream, this is something like subversion. So it has a historical, so before that, in almost all these things you see historical substream, lit RPG, bizarro fiction, mundane science fiction, solar punk, hope punk, manga, text talk novels, chick lit, cli-fi, climate fiction, Afrofuturism, bit punk, lucid fiction, mythological, fan fiction, digi-fiction, dawdle fiction, flash fiction, all these things you see, they are all different forms of genre, fusion, blend. They are genre, fusion, blend from different areas. And the major component is science here. The major component is science, coupled with horror, fantasy, romance, and your worldview that is governed by the present living condition. This much is the deepest, what you call as a thought behind all these new creations. What is this historical substream? It has history, but it has also fantasy, it has also horror, it has also a kind of a stream of consciousness technique infused into it. So new history is governed by media. Without media, you don't have any history today. And probably after 10 or 15 years, when you write a history book, you have to refer to only the media as a major conditioning force, as a major ruling class. Now that is a ruling class today. The media is a ruling power today. So this is historical substream, and you have a lot of writers like Kurt Vonnegut and so many other writers who have done historical substream, where you have history, fantasy, and romance and science. And why is this? Horror has been taken as a very important component for all these genres. Horror has been incorporated in almost all these genres, either in a very comical way, or in a very weird way, or in a very uncanny situation. But horror is a part of it because of perversion. Postmodern condition has also certain perverted views, and this is also perverted human thinking. And because of this perversion, you see, people have started to think in bizarre ways. Why not this? Why should it be black and white? Why not we explore gray areas? Gray area also has a legitimacy. Why good and evil? There is also an area in between good and evil. Why don't we delve into it? So this is the postmodern condition, and therefore you see all these gray areas, all these invisible areas are now slowly propping up into existence, or propping up into importance today. So that is why horror, which was long time ago looked down upon, people did not even like to watch horror movies those days. But today, horror has become a passion. And that is how J.K. Rowling's fantasy and horror became a very great success, because of this passion towards, or a kind of a gripping taste for all these horror movies. And then you have this lit RPG. What is this lit RPG? It is literary role-playing game. And here you see, now everything is now talked about in terms of gamification. What is gamification? Everything should be games. Everything should be activity-oriented. Even from your school teaching, it starts with activities-oriented teaching and activity-oriented learning, activity-oriented, and how is this activity? Through games. And it is only through this gamification. So small game-like things are being given, and this is how literary RPGs are given, role-playing. Some characters are given as a kind of a role play, assuming another character, and you have again a kind of a paranoid condition coming out of it, because it becomes schizophrenic also. So this is lit RPG. And bizarro fiction, you have this word bizarro, which means bizarre. What is bizarre? that which deviates from normalcy. That is bizarre, something very weird. So characters here assume horror and fantasy, and you have all these, new creations of characters which combine all uncanny characteristics, uncanny and weird characteristics into the human world. And then you have mundane science fiction, mundane everyday science fiction, where scientific innovations are also given a kind of a twist or subverted scientific fiction. That is mundane science fiction, for which you can find a number of writers on all those things. So this is just to give you what you call as an idea as to what are all the new emerging genres. But the main agenda here is to help you, to facilitate you to navigate these new genres. And that is why I have been giving you the world view behind the creation of these new genres. And then you have, now I just wanted to rearrange this, but since I did not have time, I just wanted to give you a new idea as to what is this climate fiction. I hope so. Now this is gaining a lot of importance because of the environmental disaster that is happening around us. And environmental activism is a major force behind this climate fiction, where human beings are now oriented towards the environmental disasters that has happened in the world in the past years, and about the catastrophic effect it has upon human life, the diseases, the new kinds of diseases that are now rampant in many areas. All these things are talked about in climate fiction. And most of the times you see, one thing which is very alarming is that it is all only in the Western world. Climate fiction is all only in the Western world. We have now started to just think about the change in weather conditions, that is all. We have not given a serious thought, particularly the eastern part has not given a very serious thought to the changing climatic condition, global warming, environmental disasters that is creating a lot of what you call as a hazardous situation for life on Earth. The planet is becoming slowly unfit for human life. So that is what is talked about in climate fiction, and there are a lot of writers. Probably you might have come upon a new writer, Kim, who has written a wonderful novel, Flight Behavior. I come across so many research papers in this flight behavior. It is all about butterflies. Butterflies were once native to Mexico, so monarch butterflies particularly. I think the next slide may have that. No. Yeah, this one. And now this is his quote. Do you have another? Yes. Now this is the monarch butterfly, which was native to Mexico, but there was some kind of a natural catastrophe that drove these Mexican butterflies into the Tennessee region in the United States of America, which was cited by a woman who ran out of her house. Okay, she ran away from the family commitment for certain reasons. She was unable to tolerate the pressure, and when she goes on a trail, when she goes uphill, she sights a huge swarm of butterflies. And even I have sighted it in the Salem region, in the Ghats section. I was wondering about it, but that time I could not recognize what the factor was. It was because of the climatic disturbance. Probably the ecosystem of these butterflies was destroyed. So here the writer talks about it, and probably you may find it very interesting, and some of you may take it up for your research. Yes, you can go to the other ones. How long can I prolong? Okay. The previous slide. Yes. Previous one, yes. So now climate fiction and the counter narrative to climate fiction is solar punk and hope punk. So these are counter narratives to climate fiction, where climate fiction, they talk about only the disasters, but here it is about environmental activism, and even then it is sometimes parochial, because the Western countries are parochial about controlling environment into their hands and bringing about these narratives, right? So solar punk and hope punk, they are highly recommended pieces because they give a kind of a positive view to life and what is the individual's role to shape or to counteract this disaster, to bring in a new form of life. And you have manga. Manga is something similar to what those days we had Tarzan series. It is a cartooning comic picture-like narration, one or two lines read from the right to left with pictures, cartoon pictures. Very funny pictures, and the pictures also tell stories. At the same time, you have very short narratives. It is of Japanese origin. And text talk novels. Most of the time, the texts themselves talk, all your, starting from performance poetry, and most of the novels are in narration. You can come across all these things in your YouTube videos today. Even I have a kind of an obsession in watching these text talk novels, because I can minimize my use of specs for that matter. And chick literature, it is about a very, brevity in narration, chick literature. And Afrofuturism is about this African black aesthetics combined with futuristic, writing, where you have black aesthetics, science, fantasy, all these things coupled together to give a better future. That is Afrofuturism. Bit punk and lucid fiction, mythology, all these things. But today, the major characteristic feature is that it is all very brief, very small, minimal in narration, use of minimum words. Sometimes you come across even 6-word novels like Such It Should Be, So It Be, something like that. It is a novel today. And then you have fan fiction, digifiction, you come across in your Kindle versions of all digital fictions, dodal fiction and flash fiction. All these things, they come under these new genres. But the way, or the technology, the creative and the critical aspect you should have, the training you should have to navigate these new genres, that is of primary importance. And probably I have given you a lot of new emerging areas and how to navigate these aspects. And the last slide, please. Next. Now, the last one, yes. Now, one particular thing which I just wanted to give you, that is from Kurt Vonnegut, the writer, Barbara Kingston, Flight Behavior. This is a wonderful piece because Jack London and Ernest Hemingway, all of you know these writers, confidence swaggering into the storm, man against nature. Of all the possible conflicts, that was one that was hopeless. Even a slim education had taught her this much: man loses. Man loses. So it is up to us to gain. It is up to us to gain. And you always remember the words of Wordsworth in the poem Michael, what man has made of man. So we have caused our own catastrophe, our own destruction. Let us all bring about counterproductive things. And even research scholars, you can think about creating new things like this for your research. With my best wishes, thank you all for your patient listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear ma'am, for your wonderful talk on navigating new narrative spaces. It was like we're going on a ship journey and you were our captain. You led us from the days of the old caveman paintings till the present era where we are controlled by virtual spaces. And thank you for connecting and letting us know that how we and our literature which we produce these days are controlled by the virtual spaces, and even we are not innate anymore. We are what virtual spaces want us to be. Thank you for your lovely lecture, ma'am. Thank you so much. Now Okay. After the session comes to an end, we'll have a 15-minute break. And during that time, I request all the participants to take a look at all the posters that have been stuck to that may attach to each and every wall. Each and every poster, it talks about how the human psyche and literature is connected. So please take your time and enjoy it during your break. And for restrooms, for women, you can, it's on the it's on my right side. You can just go, and there's a building nearby. You can just walk by it, and there you'll find the basketball ground, and adjacent to it, we have the ladies' restroom. You can use that. For men, it is on my left-hand side. Just walk by, and away, just a few blocks before the canteen, we have the men's restroom. You can use it, the registration desk. And then for the lunch, it is served in the front of the English department. And for those who have not yet received your lunch coupons, I request you to receive here. It is in the front, we'll be having it, so you can receive it soon. And now at this juncture, I'd like to thank all the online participants who are joined with us from all over India. We have participants from all over India. They have joined us. I really thank them for taking part and being a part of this beautiful conference. I really thank them for being a part of this conference. And now for the offline participants, I'll just read out the halls where your paper presentation sessions would take place. I'll just read out your names and the halls where you have to go through. So please listen carefully. We have the vote of thanks after this. Okay, so the first one, in the first MA English classroom, which will be the chairperson for the session will be Dr. Sherlyn Raja, and the paper presenters for the hall would be Miss Evangeline Rossi, Miss Sharon Rejoice Sampson, Miss Arul Little Snitta, Miss Ebisha Linney, Miss S. Shiny Rosilda, Miss Priya L., Miss Elian Zeralda, Mrs. S. Nandini, Ms. Priscilla J.S. and Dr. D. Bobby. You have your paper presentation in the first MA English classroom, and your chairperson would be Dr. Sherlyn Raja. And the next group of paper presenters, your paper presentation hall would be second MA English classroom, and your chairperson would be Dr. S. Venala. And the paper presentations for the hall would be Ms. Ruganya, Ms. S. Anushya, Mr. Tomai Michael, Ms. Sushma, Mr. Emmanuel Samuel, Ms. Fatima Blessy, Ms. Kanaga, Ms. Shivashankari. And the next paper presentation session would take place in the seminar hall. And the chairperson would be Dr. Pinky Diana Evelyn, and the members who will have their paper presentation there would be Ms. Pun Jerofin, Ms. Mary Rosalind Ashika, Ms. Muthulakshmi, Ms. K. Gayatri, Mr. Churchill Raja, Ms. Brinda Sharon, Mr. Dinesh, Ms. Kavita, Ms. Soundarya. And the next hall would be second BA English, and the chairperson for the session would chairpersons for the session would be Dr. K. Vigila and Dr. Samuel Jude Frank. They will be the chairpersons, and the members are. So the paper presentations would be Mr. J. Jenish John and Mr. G. Emmanuel Samuel, Ms. Sushma S. Surya, Mr. William Emmanuel, Ms. T. Kanaga, Ms. P. Shivashankari, and Ms. Yan Abhinaya. So these are the list. So you can just go by and find their classes. Okay. Umberto Eco, in 6 Walks in Fictional Wood, says, to read fiction means to play a game by which we give sense to the immensity of things that happened, are happening, or will happen in the actual world.
Grace and guidance throughout this conference. Grace and guidance throughout this conference. I extend my sincere thanks to our Secretary, Mr. G. Jayachandran, for his constant support. I express my sincere thanks to our respected principal, Dr. J. Barnabas Jacob, for giving us a free hand in organizing this national conference. My special thanks to the head of the department aided stream, Dr. Beneson Christas, for being a great source of inspiration, and his unwavering support have truly been our strength throughout this conference. My heartfelt thanks to our head of the department for the initiative steps he had taken, Professor Sam Vasantakumar. Without him, this conference would not be possible. So, though he couldn't join us with us today, I'm sure he's watching this online. On behalf of our faculty members, scholars, and students, I thank him wholeheartedly. And I extend my sincere thanks to our respected chief guest, Dr. D.M. Amala, Head Department of English, Sri Meenakshi Government Arts College for Women, Madurai, for enlightening us with an insightful talk on navigating new narrative spaces. We sincerely thank you, ma'am, for sparing your valuable insights with all of us. And I would like to thank our publishing partner, English Access, a review of literary and language, for collaborating with us in this conference. And I would also thank Dr. Ratna Prabhu from the aided stream, who helped us connect with various colleges. A special thanks to Dr. Shofit and his team for this wonderful live streaming facility provided for us. I would like to extend my thanks to all the aided staff members for their timely support and help whenever we are in need. And my special thanks to the Master of Ceremonies, Professor Ruby Carolyn, for handling the session so gracefully. And I also thank my faculty members who had wholeheartedly